Warning. Actonville TV disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the host, authors, and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any religious affiliation.
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranam Ayyappa, Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Alright, we are currently streaming live in the nation's south on Actonville TV. It's for everyone. This is a show called The Journey, and it's all about exploring Hinduism as a whole. I'm your host, Kimera, Heeralal, and if you'd like to join the conversation, you're welcome to do so by commenting at the bottom of the screen right there, or you can feel free to hashtag your views, comments, and beliefs anonymously on our WhatsApp line, which you'll find at the bottom right of the screen throughout the entire show. Now, as we are continuing with Geeta Week right here on Actonville TV, Geeta Week is being taught over the space of 18 days as the Bhagavad Gita is 18 chapters. Now, today we are doing episode 96, everybody, and we're doing part 17, chapter 17 of the Bhagavad Gita. But before we get to it, let's open up our show as we always do in Hinduism. Before doing anything, we must praise Lord Ganesha. Edward Reddy from the Nation South is helping us do this evening. Check him out.
பெரியோர்களே, தாய்மார்களே, எல்லாருக்கும் என் அன்புள்ள வணக்கம். My humble greetings to one and all. Our opening invocation to Lord Ganesha to commence the program. வீழும் தன்முகமாகி வினை தீக்கும் திருக்கரங்கள், வீழும் தன்முகமாகி வினை தீக்கும் திருக்கரங்கள், வாழ்விக்கும் திருவயிறே விக்னேசன் திருத்தோட்டம், வாழ்விக்கும் திருவயிறே விக்னேசன் திருத்தோட்டம், கணநாதா கணீசா கணநாதா கணீசா. அருகும் முள்ளும் இருக்கும் மலரும் சூட்டி கொண்டு மழுபவனே ஆற்றில் அருளும் திருளும் பொருளும் வெள்ளி கொள்ள தருபவனே அழுகும் முள்ளும் இருக்கும் மலரும் சூட்டி கொண்டு மழுபவனே ஆற்றில் அருளும் திருளும் பொருளும் வெள்ளி கொள்ள தருபவனே சித்தி கணபதி புத்தி கணபதி எத்தனை வடிவம் பெற்றவனே சித்தி கணபதி புத்தி கணபதி எத்தனை வடிவம் பெற்றவனே வருவாயே கணநாதா அருள்வாயே குணநாதா வருவாயே கணநாதா அருள்வாயே குணநாதா வீழும் தன்முகமாகி வினை தீக்கும் திருக்கரங்கள் வீழும் தன்முகமாகி வினை தீக்கும் திருக்கரங்கள் வாழ்விக்கும் திருமயிரே விக்னேசன் திருத்தோட்டம் வாழ்விக்கும் திருமயிரே விக்னேசன் திருத்தோட்டம் கணநாதா கணேசா கணநாதா கணேசா சகுத்தி பூஜை செய்தால் நற்பல தந்து அருள்வாரே நாளும் பொழுதும் நம்பிக்கை வைத்தால் சீரும் சிறுப்பும் தருவாரே நாயகன் சகுத்தி பூஜை செய்தால் நற்பல தந்து அருள்வாரே நாளும் பொழுதும் நம்பிக்கை வைத்தால் சீரும் சிறுப்பும் தருவாரே வீர கணபதி வெற்றி கணபதி எத்தனை வடிவம் பெற்றவனே கணபதி வெற்றி கணபதி எத்தனை வடிவம் பெற்றவனே வருவாயே கணநாதா அருள்வாயே குணநாதா வருவாயே கணநாதா அருள்வாயே குணநாதா வீழும் தன்முகமாகி வினை தீக்கும் திருக்கரங்கள் வீழும் தன்முகமாகி வினை தீக்கும் திருக்கரங்கள் வாழ்விக்கும் திருமயிரே விக்னேசன் திருத்தோட்டம் வாழ்விக்கும் திருமயிரே விக்னேசன் திருத்தோட்டம் கணநாதா கணேசா கணநாதா கணேசா
Jai Ganesha! For those of you who know Edward Ray, he is a legend in our country and a beautiful artist and singer. Whether it be devotional, whether it be Hindi, Tamil, you name it, he can sing it. Edward Reddy, everybody, from Lenasia South, right here on Attenville. Thank you, Uncle Edward, for helping us open up the show this evening. We are truly grateful. Now, as we are still teaching about the Bhagavad Gita, we are covering chapter 17 in the Bhagavad Gita. Let's take a look at what Dr. P.K. Maestri has to say in English, teaching us about chapter 17.
Good evening, the viewer of Actonville TV. I'm so excited to be with you again tonight in the discussion or paraphrasing of the chapters 1 to 18 of the Bhagavad Gita. Well, we have gone through most of the chapters. I just want to say chapter 14 was the three modes of the material nature, or the three gunas, and you're well aware the gunas are goodness, passionless, and ugliness, laziness. That's the last one that's called. Then chapter 15 was the yoga of the supreme God, supreme person, and then 16 was the divine and demonic nature. Today's topic will be the divisions of faith. So, as you know, the Bhagavad Gita is the celestial song. Celestial song of who? Lord Krishna. And he is speaking as a God, revealing himself and the principles of Krishna consciousness, and to us in our cycle of birth and death through Arjuna. Arjuna is one of the sons of the great king of that time. So Arjuna is representing our soul. So eventually you'll notice that the soul and the God, so Krishna and our soul, then will merge. And that will form the Godhead. So as I said, chapter 17 is the divisions of faith. Now Arjuna in verse 1 is saying, what is the situation of one who does not follow the principles of scripture but worships according to his own imagination? Is he in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Goodness, passion, ignorance is the gunas, the three gunas. What was purported to be Lord Krishna's reply? Well, this is how it goes. In the 4th chapter, that's called Transcendental Knowledge, a reference is made to the 39th verse. It is said that a person faithfulness to a particular type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge and attains the highest perfectional stage of peace and prosperity. I think you'll understand that. In the 16th chapter, which is the divine and the demonic nature, it is concluded that also those who do not follow the principles laid down on the scriptures is called an asura, a demon, and one who follows the scriptures is faithfully called as deva. See how Lord Krishna is putting it. Those who are not following the principles is referring to us as asuras and demons. And those of you who are following strictly Krishna consciousness is calling them devas or demigods. It will all fit in as we slowly come towards the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. Then Arjuna replies, says, now, if one with faith follows some rules which are not mentioned in the spiritual injunction, what is his position? Is here asking a question. He asks another question. Are those, O Lord Krishna, who create some sort of God by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him and worshipping all goodness, passion, and ignorance, what happens to them, O Lord? And another question he asks. He says, do such persons attain the perfectional stage of life? So those are three questions he asked, and look at the reply. It says, those who know the rules and regulations of scriptures but out of laziness gives up following the rituals and our religion are governed by the modes or the gunas as goodness, passion, and ignorance of the material nature. According to the previous, that means cycle of birth and death, activities in the mode, you know what's the mode now, the gunas, right? They acquire a nature which is of a specific quality. He further goes on to say, the association of the living entirety with the different modes, like the gunas again is goodness, passion, and ignorance of nature, has been going on perpetually, that since the living entirety is in constant with the material nature, he acquires different types of mentality according to his association with the material modes. Again, modes, gunas. I keep on stressing modes so we're all on the same page. But this nature can be changed if one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules and scriptures. Gradually, one can change his position from ignorance to goodness or from passion to goodness. The conclusion is that the blind faith in a particular mode, again gunas, of nature cannot help a person become elevated to the perfectual state. Krishna further says, one has to consider things carefully with intelligence in association with a bona fide spiritual master. This one can change his position to a higher mode. What's the higher mode? From ignorance, you're going up to passion. From passion, you're going up to goodness. So that was verse 1. Let's go to verse 2. The Supreme Lord said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: goodness, passion, ignorance. Now hear about these as he goes to the next verse. Verse 3. We are only going to purport one of the verses in detail. The others I will mention to you. And if you're following the Bhagavad Gita, this is in accordance with those texts. According to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one involves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes is acquired. Verse 4, men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. Those in the mode of passion worship the demons. And those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Can you believe what is this? Those in the mode of passion worship demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts, and those who are in the mode of goodness worship demigods. Let's go to verse 5 and 6 in combination. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride, egoism, lust, and attachment, who are impelled by passion and who torture their bodily organs as well as the super soul dwelling within them, are to be known as demons. I think that's self-explanatory. Verse 7, even food of which all partake is of three kinds, according to the three modes of the material nature. The same is true of sacrifice, austerities, and charity. Listen, and I'll tell you about the distinction of these three. So verses 8 to 10, Lord Krishna, in the transliteration and translation, says, foods in the mode of goodness increases the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such nourishing food are sweet, juicy, flattening, and palatable. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, pungent, dry, and hot are liked by people in the modes of passion. That is the second guna. Such foods cause pain, distress, and disease. Food cooked more than 3 hours before being eaten, which is tasteless, stale, decomposed, and unclean, is food liked by people in the mode of ignorance. That's the third guna. Verse 11 says, Krishna says, of sacrifices, that sacrifice performed according to duty and to the scriptural rules and with no exception of reward is of the nature of goodness. You don't want any reward. You're doing your best in terms of the highest guna, that is the goodness. Verse 12, Krishna says, but that sacrifice performed for some material end or benefit or performed out of pride is of nature called passion. O Chief Arjuna, says Krishna.
Dr. PK Maestri sharing with you part 1 of chapter 17, as we had to break it down, as some people's attention span is not that not that good. As we have David Naidu coming in on YouTube. Namaskaram to you, sir. Welcome to the show. You are here every day to support us. We love you and we thank you for your support. As we are talking about chapter 17 from the Bhagavad Gita, let's take a quick break and we'll go back to Dr. PK Maestri doing his part 2 of chapter 17. Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam Govinda, Govinda. Welcome back, everybody. Alright, as we're talking about the Bhagavad Gita chapter 17, here's Dr. PK Maestri continuing from part 1, chapter 17. Here is part 2.
Verse 13, he says, "And that sacrifice performed in defiance of scriptural injunctions, in which no spiritual food is distributed, no hymns are chanted, and no remunerations are made to the priest, and which is faithless, that sacrifice of the nature, of that means of the gunas, is of the third type, and that's called ignorance." Verse 14, "The austerity of the body consists in this: worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmins, the spiritual master, and the superiors, like the father and mother. Cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence are the austerities of the body." Verse 15 says, "The austerity of speech consists in speaking truthfully and beneficially, and in avoiding speech that offends." One should also recite the Vedas regularly. Vedas, the word of God. Verse 16, "And serenity, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purity of thought are the austerities of the mind." Verse 17, "This threefold austerity practiced by men whose aim is not to benefit themselves materially, but to please the Supreme, is of the nature of goodness." There are so many times here wherein Lord Krishna is describing the gunas, the three modes: the goodness, the passion, and the ignorance. Nearly every chapter is similar to this. Verse 18 says, "Those ostentatious penances and austerities which are performed in order to gain respect, honor, and reverence are said to be in the mode of passion. They are neither stable nor permanent." Verse 19, "And those penances and austerities which are performed foolishly by means of the obstinate self-torture, or to destroy or injure others, are said to be in the mode of ignorance." Verse 20, Krishna says, "That gift which is given out of duty at the proper time and place to a worthy person and without expectations of return is considered to be charity in the mode of goodness." Excellent. In the mode of goodness. Verse 21 says, "But charity performed with the expectation of some return, or with the desire for some fruitful results, or in a grinding mood, is said to be charity in the mode of passion. Not so bad. The guna of passion lies between the goodness on the top end and ignorance on the bottom end. Verse 22, and charity performed at an improper place and time, and given to unworthy persons without respect and with contempt, is charity in the mode of ignorance. Krishna says in verse 23, from the beginning of creation, the three syllables Om, Tat, Sat have been used to indicate the supreme absolute truth, which is called Brahman. They are uttered by the Brahmins while chanting Vedic hymns and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Verse 24 says, thus the transcendentalists undertake a sacrifice, charities and penance, beginning always with the word Om. Om is eternal, to attain the Supreme. Verse 25, Krishna says, one should perform sacrifice, penance and charity with the word Tat, T-A-T. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from the material entanglement. Verse 26 to 27, Krishna says, the absolute truth is the objective of devotional sacrifice, and it is indicated by the word Sat, S-A-T. That's Om, Tat, Sat. These works of sacrifice, of penance, and of charity, true to the absolute nature, are performed to please the Supreme Person. O Arjuna, are you following? Verse 28, chapter 17, but sacrifices, austerities, and charities performed without faith in the Supreme are non-permanent. O Arjuna, regardless of whatever rites are performed, they are called Sat and are useful or useless both in this life and in the next. What is the purport to this? It says, in the 4th chapter, 69 verse, it is said that the faith or a faithful person to a particular type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge and attains the highest perfection stage of peace and prosperity. In the 16th chapter, it is concluded that one who does not follow the principles laid down in the scriptures is called an asura, demon, and one who follows the scriptural injunctions faithfully is called a deva or demigod, as we have said earlier. Now, if one, with faith, follows some rules which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunctions, what is his position? You remember? Arjuna asked. The doubt of Arjuna is to be cleared. Must be cleared. It says, are those who create some sort of God by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him, worshipping in goodness, with passion, or with ignorance, do you believe such persons will attain the perfectional stage of life? Also, is it possible for them to be situated in real knowledge and elevate themselves to the highest perfectional stage? To those who do not follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but have faith in something and worship God and demigods, and men attain success in their effort. Arjuna is putting all these pertinent, important questions to the Lord, the Supreme Godhead. What's the meaning of all of this? It says, anything done without the transcendental objective, whether it be sacrifice, charity, or penance, is useless. Therefore, in this verse, it is declared that some activities are abominable. Everything should be done for the supreme in Krishna consciousness. Without such faith and without knowing the proper guidance, there can never be any fruit. In all the Vedic scriptures, faith in the Supreme is advised. In the pursuit of all Vedic instructions, the ultimate goal is the understanding of Krishna. No one can obtain success without following this principle. Therefore, the best course is to work from the very beginning in Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. I think this part answers all the questions Andy, our senior engineer of Actonville TV, always asks us. So my son, this is what it's all about. Follow Krishna consciousness. That is the way to make everything successful. In the conditional state, people are attracted to worship demigods, ghosts, and what they call YAKNAS, yaknas, like Kimera. The mode of goodness is better than the mode of passion and ignorance, but one who takes directly to Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all the three modes of material nature. Although there is the process of gradual elevation of one by the association of pure devotees, takes directly to Krishna consciousness, that is the best way. And that is recommended in this chapter 17. To achieve success in this way, one must first find the proper spiritual master and receive training under his direction. Then one can achieve faith in the Supreme. When that faith matures in course of time, it is called love of God. Love of God, God is love. This love is the ultimate goal of the living entities. One should, therefore, take to Krishna consciousness directly. That is the message in the 17th chapter. Thus, the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 17th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the divisions of faith. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, all the best to you. Prem Namaste.
The load shedding schedule coming up next. Here's baby Nishana Naika from Durban with Tenirikam Idatal Venkateswara.
Venkataramana Govinda, Shri Venkatesha Govinda, Venkataramana Govinda, Shri Venkatesha Govinda, Venkataramana Govinda, Shri Venkatesha Govinda, Venkataramana Govinda, Shri Venkatesha Govinda.
Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. Coming up next with the teachings of chapter 17 from the Bhagavad Gita, Shashi Gosai in London.
Namaste, I'm Shashi Gosai and welcome. So now we continue our journey through the Bhagavad Gita and we're on to chapter 17. But first let's recap the message we got at chapter 16, which was that in order to prevent the actions by selfish desire, we should use the scriptures as a guide and make the right decisions. Arjun asks, what happens to those who do not follow the scriptures but worship according to their own beliefs? Some of us will not have access to scriptures or we may not be able to read them. So how can we use our judgment to make the right decisions when we don't have access to the scriptures? So chapter 17 is dedicated to those who do not have access to the scriptures but still would like to lead the right life through faith, charity, sacrifice, sincerity, honesty. Many people would like to have a path that gives them happiness in the material world and enables them to pursue the supreme goal of liberation. In the absence of scriptures, faith leads us to the right direction. It is faith, our conscience, that will tell us what is right and wrong. Sri Krishna then explains how this is attained, how we can make the right decisions. Whenever we perform actions, we get results. The repetition of actions and results leaves impressions on our brain, and these become habits, good or bad, and this leads to the nature of the person. Sri Krishna ji then tells us how the nature affects our faith. How we react to a situation depends on our nature. Sri Krishna ji then tells us how to find our nature, how to analyze our actions, how to find out the type of faith we have. Sri Krishna ji then describes this faith in 3 different stages, 3 different types, and they are the Sattvic, who worship deities like Lord Vishnu or Lord Shiva, the Rajasic, who worship the materialistic spirits, and the Tamasic, who worship ghosts and demons. Next, Krishna ji says, is attitude which plays a part, is the attitude with which we pray. So we might be all praying to the same God at the same time, but it is the way we do it, the attitude with which we do. For example, some people might be praying that they get a son, or their son passes exams, or some that they just want liberation. So we need to be aware to reveal our attitudes and motivations, why and how we pray. Sri Krishna ji first lists the actions we must not do. The first one is to be egoistic or arrogant, because this is attached to materialism and power. Or starvation, which is severe austerity that causes harm to our body. Nowhere in the scriptures does it say that we should be starving ourselves. Ishvara is resident within us, and if we harm ourselves, we harm Ishvara. Ishvara is the witness to all our thoughts and actions. Sri Krishna ji then divides our actions into 4 categories. Firstly, the types of food eaten. Then the sacrifice of time or action to help others. The austerity or forego some activities to conserve energy. Charity by giving up wealth to reduce our greed. Food. Krishna ji told us a long time ago that food affects our personality. He then divides food into 3 parts. The first one is that most of us, what we eat is rejected by the body. Some is used to build bones, muscles, skin, organs, and so on. Some goes to our brain, the emotional mind, the intellectual mind, the memory, and the senses. Sri Krishna ji first lists the types of food that are consumed by people whose faith is sattvic. So a sattvic faith, the sattvic food promotes long life, releases energy, improves our health and strength, helps in the healing process. The sattvic foods provides essential nutrition to the body, provides long-term benefits to the body, gives us happiness as we do not have guilt feeling after eating it. Sattvic food is juicy like a succulent fruit and fresh vegetables. nuts and grains with balanced fat and oil, digested easily. Krishnaji then describes food that is consumed by people whose faith is Rajasic. So Rajasic food has sharp flavors, is sour, salty, spicy, pungent, dry, high in sugars and oil. Shri Krishnaji says that these foods are unhealthy, addictive, and difficult to digest in large quantities. Krishnaji then describes food that is consumed by people whose faith is tamasic. So tamasic foods are stale foods, junk and processed food, food that is under or overcooked, odorless food, leftover food, food that has already been tasted by someone else, food that was cooked more than 3 hours ago. So after describing the different types of food, the qualities and the effect it has on us, he advised us to go for more sattvic foods. They affect our intellect, our mind, our senses, which become more calm if we take the right type of food. Secondly is worship. Shri Krishnaji lists the type of yajna or the worship that we perform, which will tell us our nature. Yajna is then further divided into 3 parts. The first one is the offering, for example, oil and butter. The flame, which represents the deity that consumes the offering. The result, that's praying for longer life or marriage or children or prosperity. So the attitude of a person who performs a yajna is also very important. And this again is divided into 3 types. The first one is a sattvic person whose sacrifice is driven by a sense of duty to a higher ideal, for example, the community or the country, without any selfish desire. The Rajasic person, the sacrifice is done to fulfill a desire, for example, on marriage or job promotion. The Tamasic person, the sacrifice is done without any offering or devotion. The worship is done grudgingly and without charity. Thirdly, Shri Krishnaji describes austerity or the penance or giving up something that will release the energy so that we can focus more on the right actions. And that is also divided into 3 parts. The first one is the austerity of the body, austerity of speech, austerity of the mind. So firstly, he describes the austerity of the body, which is a worship of God, bowing and respecting our elders and teachers by physically serving our nature, communities, and temples. This type of penance is done by purity of our thoughts, body, and our surroundings, upright posture for meditation with clear thinking, abstaining from lust or other distractions, non-violence against anyone. Secondly is the austerity of speech. Shri Krishnaji explains 4 categories that will not waste our energy, and that is words should be true, should be pleasant to hear, should not distress or annoy, should benefit the other person. Daily recitation of scriptures will tell us a meaning of how we should be living. It shows a practical guide to a spiritual path. Thirdly, it was the austerity of the mind. So, if it's a cheerful attitude towards all situations in life, kindness, feel compassionate to everyone, silence, time to contemplate, and self-control, stop self-thinking and negative thoughts, for example, violence, cruelty, or hate. By constant awareness, our mind will automatically harbor good intentions in all situations. For this, we need to do one of 3 things. Have faith in Ishvara, reduce our dependence on the perishable material world, treat the entire world as an illusion, and negate everything in it. If we give reality to the world, mental penance will not give us peace. Shri Krishnaji then goes on to describe the different types of penance, which are divided into 3 parts. Sattvic tapas is the highest possible goal, which is self-realization. It is not performed for any name, fame, or money. It has to be performed with devotion according to the scriptures by one who has integrated his mind with his intellect and can remain balanced in success and failure. Only such person is able to incorporate all aspects of penance. which is physical, mental, and speech. Mental penance is the hardest to conquer because you really have to train your mind. Secondly is the Rajasic tapas. Any penance done with any material goal, for example, boost your ego or money, has very temporary results. Thirdly is Tamas tapas. This is penance done with the foolishness of harming oneself or others. Our scriptures are full of stories of penance done by demons to bring about a downfall of another. Today, it may refer to in business, for example, cheating or bringing down a competitor. Fourthly, charity. Charity is a sacred act and has to be done thoughtfully. Sri Krishna ji then describes the three types of charity. The first one is a sattvic charity, which is performed out of sense of duty. Should be done voluntarily and with devotion. Should not devote something expecting something in return. Sattvic charity has to be done at the right place at the right time. For example, an auspicious occasion like Vasant Panchami, or directed towards a worthy person or an institution. Just by tossing a coin in a beggar's bowl is not sattvic charity. Secondly is the Rajasic charity, which is giving charity while expecting something in return, to repay a favor or an obligation to someone else, and this is done unwillingly. Thirdly is the Tamasic charity, which is without a proper time and place, or if we donate something to boost our ego, is done with disrespect to the recipient and is given to those who harm others. Any charity or gift should be given with politeness and humility. We are humans and can make mistakes. Sri Krishna ji says that we can purify our sattvic penance, thoughts, actions by uttering 3 pure words or mantras, which is called Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat is the threefold name of the Supreme Soul with which the universe was created. The universe through Brahmanas, who perform the sacrificial rituals with faith in the Vedas and connect our mind to Ishvara. We need to calm our mind. This is done by chanting Om prior to performing any sattvic actions. So what does Om Tat Sat mean? Om means the absolute. Chanting Om sets up vibrations in our system that clears our mind of selfish thoughts. The more frequently we begin actions with Om, the more we will bring sattva into our actions. By chanting Om before the start of any action helps us focus on action and weakens the attachment to the action. We have attachments at 2 levels, the act and the result. So for example, a footballer, he might love football because he loves football, the act of football. Another footballer loves football because he thinks of the money he's going to earn out of football, which is not sattvic. Karma yoga is an act, is a method of reducing our desires so that our minds become purified for a spiritual journey. Tat means that in Sanskrit. It's a pointer to the Supreme Soul. We can reduce these 2 attachments by chanting the word Tat when performing any sattvic action and dedicate our actions and results to any deity that we favor. Sat means good in Sanskrit. By chanting Sat, we purify our emotions and feelings. It also means existence, and it points to the absolute truth, the Brahma. Sri Krishna ji says that by chanting Om Tat Sat, we purify our actions and we'll get rid of all the errors and defects of the actions that we perform. So to recap, the ultimate purifying chant is Om Tat Sat. Om is used to focus our attention on the action. Tat is used to dedicate the actions and their reward to Ishvara. Sat is to mentally merge oneself into one reality, the one eternal essence, the absolute truth. Sri Krishna ji says we should have constant thoughts on Ishvara as a means of liberation. Thoughts become actions. Thoughts on Ishvara will make sure that your actions become sattvic. Sri Krishnaji then emphasizes the importance of Shraddha, of faith. Anything that's done without faith becomes asat, or fruitless. And you can see that in daily lives. Somebody who puts their heart and soul into something, as opposed to someone who's just doing it very mechanically, and you can see they're not going to even get the results for it. Sri Krishnaji says that any action, sacrifice, penance, charity that's done without faith, without our soul in it, becomes a worthless action. Forget about eternal liberation. They will not get the fruit here on this earth with this attitude. So to recap, Sri Krishnaji tells us about the three types of faith. The yajna or sacrifice, which represents our duty towards Ishvara. Dana or charity, which represents our duty towards our fellow human beings. Tapas or penance, which represents our duty towards ourselves. There are three types of devotees depending upon their nature: sattvic, rajasic or tamasic. And in order for us to become fit for liberation, we must cultivate sattvic faith. This will only happen by consuming sattvic food, performing sattvic sacrifices, charity and penance. And to ensure that our sattvic actions are free of errors and defects, we should perform the purifier Om Tat Sat while performing all actions. Well, that is the end of chapter 17. I hope you enjoyed listening to that little bit of Bhagavad Gita. I'll be bringing chapter 18 next. This is Shashi Gosai. Thank you.
Shashi Gosai educating you guys on chapter 17 of the Bhagavad Gita, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to Romila and Kasturi coming in through YouTube. If you guys, I know you guys are watching the show for the first time, don't forget to subscribe our channel as it helps our channel to grow, and I hope you will enjoy the journey, as this show is called The Journey, Exploring Hinduism with myself, Kimera Heeralal. I do apologize for rushing through the show like this, as everybody's hitting load shedding in South Africa this evening. So as we've come to the end of the show, we are doing the 108 principles of the value system from the Tirukkural, and today we are sitting at number 15.
Today's lesson from the 108 principles of the value system from the Tirukkural is number 15. Do not pretend to be another person, be yourself.
To all our newcomers and new viewers, such as Romila and we see Doria Terry coming in also saying namaste to all. We do apologize for not putting your comments on the screen, as we all are rushing for 8 p.m. load shedding. And I would just like to ask Kasturi and Romila to please subscribe to this channel. And if you want to watch the Bhagavad Gita chapter 1 episode, you can go onto Actonville TV's YouTube channel and search for episode 80 and start learning about the Bhagavad Gita there. Now, as you know, Praveen Mudli is coming into town. For those of you who are a big fan of him, I know I am, as a devotional singer. Here he is, as he will be here this weekend.
Hi, my name is Dr. Valentino. His mother is a favorite DJ. Come join me on the 30th of September at the Service Samaj in Soma Street, Actonville, for an amazing show featuring Praveen Mudli and True. Admission totally free. I look forward to seeing you there.
I'm gonna be there this weekend at the Seven Samaj. I'm just sorting out my finances because I'm traveling from Lanesia South to Benoni to see Praveen Mudli on Saturday, guys. Alright, as you know, if you need a guru anywhere in the globe, you can contact Guru Indrasan, ladies and gentlemen. Guru Indresan is willing to do and perform the following services if need be. He performs the Jandagam, also known as the astrological readings, and the Panchagam. He also does your Navagraha Shanti, your house prayers, your business prayers, your car prayers, your temple and hall weddings, your ceremonies like your 16 days in your 1 year, your Janda prayer, your auspicious Hawans, as well as your Kumbha Abhishekams. If you need Guru Indresan, you can contact him every single weekday after 6 p.m. please, on weekends anytime on 081 325 0115. I'll give it to you again, 081 325 0115. Alright, as I see the love is still going on YouTube, please put it up all on the screen, Director. I'd like to give a warm thank you and welcome to everybody who has shared their love and support and comments and interaction live on Atsonville TV. As I can see, everybody saying hi. Lots of love. Nishi Heeralal, everybody complaining about the load shedding. Nishi Heeralal, Kimera, I keep telling you, have faith in your actions and it will materialize. Thank you so much, Nishi Heeralal, for that very inspirational sentence and words from you. It means a lot to me, as you are one of our biggest fans on our YouTube channel. As well as Ria Thierry, she enjoyed listening to Shashika's sign and she greets all. And Nishi Heeralal showing her love to everybody who's supporting the channel today. I believe everybody's supporting the channel because of you. Thank you so much. Kasturi Reddy, thank you. Kimera, thank you. Kasturi, it's an honor to have you on the YouTube line, just commenting and sharing your love and support. It means a lot to us as we are a growing channel. Well, don't forget, we're going to do this tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. till 8. As I see, I'm looking at the load shedding schedule as I'm talking to you guys. I'm not happy about Friday. It looks like we're going to be coming on late, about 8:30, if I'm not mistaken, on Friday. So, but tomorrow it will be 7 p.m. Please join us tomorrow again as we are continuing and ending off the Bhagavad Gita with chapter 18, as there's only 18 chapters in our Bhagavad Gita. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed the music. I hope you enjoyed everything about the journey. From myself, Kimera Heeralal, Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam Ayyappa, Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. Good night, everyone.